If you're starting a business here from scratch, your first hires are very important. One of the most important things is finding the right people. I'd actually go further to argue it is the most important thing. And those first hires, I think you'll often find in the businesses that I meet that set up 1 or 2, 3, 4 people and then have longevity, those 1 or 2, 3 or 4 are often still with the business 5, 10, 15 years later. So finding those right people at the start of the journey is just critical.
Another challenge that I think a lot of owners face here is retaining talent.
Right.
Do you have any ideas on how to retain good talent? All right, Brendan, thank you so much for joining me today.
Good to have you in our office again.
Yes. So we're actually recording this in the ASW office, which is in the park.
That's right.
Which is a really modern, amazing building. So how long have you all been here in the park?
We got the office space the end of 2023.
Yeah.
So we're coming up to 2 years, almost 2 years in the office space.
Yeah.
I joined in April 24 myself there, so I'm about 18 months in here.
Nice. Well, I absolutely love the area here. If anyone has a chance to stop by the office, please do. But without further ado, I'd love for people to get to know you, Brendan. So would you mind giving a brief introduction, who you are, where you're from, what you do, and then we can jump in.
Certainly. Brendan Cunningham, originally from Australia. I'm from Sydney, Tasmania, Queensland, Perth. I got around before I came here to Thailand in 2000. I'm currently the Regional Business Development Director for ASW Consulting. ASW Consulting is an executive search recruitment firm that's part of a larger company called ASY Global, which is an international talent partnering firm. Offices headquartered out in Sydney, offices in Manila, Ho Chi Minh City, Kuala Lumpur, and of course, Bangkok.
Yes, and we had to make this time work for you because I know you travel quite a bit as well. I hear you've been coming to and from Vietnam quite a bit as well.
For the consulting part of the business, our teams are based in Bangkok and Ho Chi Minh City. So I'm in and out of both. I live and work in Thailand, and I spend half my working time in Ho Chi Minh City and in Bangkok.
Yes, so that explains it.
I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, it's a good mix there. So what I'd like to know here first is you've been here for years, right? And so I want to rewind back to when you first got here, or you took your first trips to Thailand. What actually drew you over to Thailand originally?
I was a classic case, and there's more than one of my case, of somebody who arrived here on a short-term basis. I came here basically for a year in my mind at that time, in beginning of 2000. And I had plans of going different places. South America was on my mind, Europe, of course, and I never got to any of those places. Not yet, anyway.
Still time.
I've been here ever since.
Nice. What do you think? I think that happens, like you said, to a lot of us, right? We get here, we expect we'll go somewhere else, but it's hard to not fall in love with the place a little bit, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what do you think has actually held you here for so many years?
It's definitely a range of things. I'd have to say the obvious one first is family. My wife and kids are Thai nationals, so it's my family would naturally be number one. The second thing is the career. I've been very, very fortunate that I've had a wonderful career path that's across multiple companies that has allowed me to enjoy my work the whole time I've been here, which is really important. And then there's also the things that not only keep people here, but bring people back, the food, the culture, the things you see. It's always interesting, and very, very importantly, the people. Yeah. The people of this country are wonderful, and it's just a great place to live.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, how many years has it been then altogether for you then?
You know, it's interesting. In a few months, I guess at the end of this year, it comes up to 26. And without giving away my age, at the end of this year, I would have lived exactly half my life in Thailand and exactly half in Australia.
Wow. It's scary to think about, right?
It is actually.
Yeah, I've been here for, I think, maybe 13 or so years, and I'm starting to, make the same calculation. It's like, okay, the majority of my adulthood has been so far away from my home country, which is not because I dislike my home country, but it's back to the point of there's something sticky about Thailand where you kind of just,
And agree, and just to that point, I love being Australian.
Yeah.
I'm a very patriotic Australian person.
Yeah.
But my home is Thailand.
Yeah.
It's no longer Australia. My home is Thailand.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I think some people run away from things, whether it be their home country or problems they have there. But I think plenty of us love our home countries,
Yes.
right? And it's not anything against Australia, the U.S., anything, right?
I just found a part of the world that has become more homely than where we grew up, I guess.
Yes.
That's the best way to look at it.
Absolutely. Well, to get into why I invited you onto the podcast. So I've known you now for probably a couple of years through your involvement with the Australian Chamber, through networking events. I see you at all the time. You're very active. We'll touch on that today. But the reason I really wanted to speak with you in more depth, Brendan, is because I think a lot of business owners or entrepreneurs in Thailand struggle a lot when building a company. And of course, one of the most important parts of building a company is people, building a team, building an effective team. And I've heard from more than one expat here that they're just unsure if they can do it.
Right.
Because, at first, I think during the honeymoon period, it seems amazing. And it's to think, oh, I can absolutely start a business here. There's all these opportunities. It's going to be great. And I think sometimes owners get past that honeymoon and then they start having problems with staff. They start having problems with their team. Maybe people are bringing up issues to them. All these things happen. And they almost want to throw their hands up and say, this is impossible. This is so much different. And you're not a person that I hear that from, because I think you got through that, or you've got to the other side.
Right.
And that's why you've been here for so many years, right? So what I'm hoping to do today is just talk through some of those lessons that you've learned, or any wisdom that you can share to help entrepreneurs get to that other side and find success here.
Great. I'm open to sharing, of course.
Yes. Awesome. So let's maybe start in almost chronological order. Let's say that there is an individual that is starting their business here. They might have some funding. They might have maybe a successful business outside of Thailand. And they now want to either start or expand their operations in Thailand.
Right.
And now they're looking for some of their first Thai hires. Of course, there are ratios people need to be aware of when it comes to, you have to hire a certain number of Thai nationals in order to sponsor a work permit for a foreigner here. So they might be faced with this idea of, who are my first 4 core Thai hires?
Right.
How do I find the right people? And maybe we can dig a little bit deeper into that.
If you're starting a business here from scratch, you're very correct in saying your first hires are very important. And you mentioned earlier, one of the most important things is finding the right people. I'd actually go further to argue it is the most important thing. And those first hires, I think you'll often find in the businesses that I meet that set up 1 or 2, 3, 4 people and then have longevity, those 1 or 2, 3 or 4 are often still with the business when 5, 10, 15 years later. So finding those right people at the start of the journey is just critical. If they come from one of the top universities, great. It certainly shouldn't be at the top of the pile that we need to find that first batch of people from these universities. You really are looking, yes, at a CV, qualifications, but I don't know how to explain this in any other way than you're looking for the right people. And it's finding a very critical match for how that person works with you, their personality, their characteristics, their motivation and drive for being part of your business. You're essentially looking for a new best friend. I would think that those first critical hires. And how do you go about it? There's still, the traditional ways of recruiting haven't changed in the past 50 years. You post a job ad, you collect CVs, you scan the CVs, you then go through the interview process and you select the right people. Where it has changed is where we used to look in the Saturday newspaper before the internet. That obviously doesn't happen much anymore. That transitions onto job boards. So job boards on Jobs, DB, Seek, etc. But then LinkedIn job boards, and even further into Facebook groups. So for certain types of people that you're looking for, you post in different Facebook groups to find them. And these days, even people are going on TikTok and doing little videos saying, I'm looking for this, could anyone give a referral? So that part has, the process is the same in that you need to advertise, but the way it's done is different. Interviewing's different. It was always face-to-face. Now, most of the interviews we do now, initial interviews are video screening. Instead of asking someone to come all the way across town, or you might even be in another country when you're doing that initial interviewing, it's all online process. But then, particularly for a small business wanting to set up, you fly in and you sit down face to face and you get to know those people. So yeah, it's the basics have changed. The way we do it has evolved with technology.
Right. Now, one thing I'm curious about, Brendan, is how the filtration method at the start of the process obviously changes how things happen downstream from that. So I get that this depends on the role, but I'm just curious, do you tend to err on the side of filtering a lot at the top? So for instance, if you have all these CVs, would you say, I've got a stack of 20 CVs, I'm only going to start to look at the ones, like I said, from a certain university? Or do you tend to be a little bit more open at that start of that process and put a little bit more of the filtration in that maybe first round interview?
Keyword matching is what most recruitment people do, in that you post a job description, and we now have AI to actually do that for us.
Yes.
But if I go old school, just using my own eyes, we've got a job description and we have key words or sentences that we have already told the market, this is what we're looking for. People who can do this, it will be successful in our role. And then we look at the CV. So I would advise anyone who's looking for a job, read the job description, tailor your CV to the job description, because that's initially what we're looking for. So if we're looking for ABC, and then I'm looking at the top of a CV and it's got XYZ, might even have ABC at the bottom, I might not see it. You're looking for this type of person. Look at the jobs I've been doing, and the jobs I've been doing are what you're looking for. Yes. Okay, step one, I'm looking for this, you do this, I'm going to interview you. That's, if you receive 500, a lot of LinkedIn posts, there are 500 replies, and you're looking to that very basic, I'm looking for this, you do that, great.
Yes.
You're through the first round of interviews.
Yeah, so that's a great tip for people. I think that I've seen so many applications for roles I've published and hired for, and some people will not tailor their CV at all. And I think that's a missed opportunity. I don't tend to see a lot of cover letters even.
Yep.
And so to your point, we all are busy, and as much as we want hiring managers to be open to different hires and open to our backgrounds, you have to tailor that CV.
Right.
Otherwise, the individual, the hiring manager, the HR department, whatever it may be, is not going to see the keywords, and they're going to filter you out, right?
That's right. Yes. So that's very important at the start, and that gets you in the door. Then when you get into the first interview online, you're assessing, you've told me you can do this. I'm now going to check by asking you questions. Can you do this or not? Yes. The way we do the interviews, two ways. One, your skills assessment. You've said you could do it. I'm going to ask you very direct questions about your experience doing it, and for examples on how you've done it, just to check, are you as good as you say you are? The second part of the interview, whether it's interviewing for, say, me for my team or for the clients in terms of what they've told us they're looking for, is more culture fit. When culture fit, I mean company culture fit. So the company will say, this is the type of company we are. This is the type of person we're looking for that will be successful in our company. And so we ask the type of questions that assess behavioural characteristics that match what the company's looking for as well.
Yes.
And if they tick both boxes, yet skills, they're competent, culturally they look a match, that's when we'd move on to the next round.
Yes, yes. Whoa there, hold up for just 1 second. I'm sorry to interrupt, but if you are struggling with business operations, cultural challenges, or growing your business in Thailand, you are not alone. This market is really tough to navigate. I know because I've been here since 2012, and I've experienced a lot of these challenges myself. That's why I founded Fractioned, a Thailand-based consulting firm aimed at helping businesses succeed in Thailand. My Accenture experience from the US
and our community of top consultants from around the world allow us to deliver top-tier strategy and execution to businesses in Thailand. If you want to learn more, you can book a free 15-minute discovery call to see how we can help your business. You can email us at podcast@fraction.io. All right, back to the show.
Okay. I like too that you brought up the skills assessment, because I've seen some hiring managers think of that more as a, hey, can you do this thing? And they take people's word at face value.
Right.
And then you end up with a big problem down the road, right? Oops, you said you knew this CRM, or you said you know this software, and then they don't.
No.
So it sounds like if it has those kind of hard skills or those specific capabilities, it sounds like you have some good assessments going on just to make sure and test it, right?
Yeah, you just ask basically for examples. If somebody says they can do something, tell me about it.
Yeah.
Just explain to me how you did it. Even if it's something very basic, explain to me the process.
Yes.
And the way people answer, you can pick up on as well. People who are highly competent in it reel off the answer.
Yeah.
It just flows off the tongue. And if somebody's pausing and umming and ahhing, well, surely if you were doing this every day for 3 years, it shouldn't be this hard to answer. And maybe it is somebody who is, well, I wasn't ready for the interview. I have been doing it competently for 3 years. I just wasn't ready for the interview. That's a failure on your part as well.
Yes.
Prepare for interviews.
Yes. Absolutely. And I mean, tell me if this is something you do as well, but I sometimes find that interviewers like yourself and like your team is, I'm sure, very experienced at this, but you have to go layers deep. And if someone's not answering the question at that surface level and you're not asking, oh, that wasn't quite specific enough, can you go a little bit deeper?
Yes.
I think if you don't do that, it's easy to rush through things.
Yes.
And you're not really testing it.
That's right.
Right.
Because with that in mind as well, that's a good point, Scott, in terms of going deeper. You're also testing for consistency. So sometimes you'll ask the same question in a different way and you're testing for consistency as well. And then you'll do that. That's often done across multiple interviews as well. So if I interview someone, then someone interviews after me as a candidate, you must realise that we're going to come together and cross-check after that and discuss, this person said this person said this, and if it's not the same, then red flags come up as well. So,
yes.
So we're moving into a bit of candidate advice. Be prepared. Be very prepared to go deep and be very genuine as well. If you don't know how to do something, don't say you don't get away with it.
Yes. Oh, I love that idea of being genuine. I can just share from a recent example of someone I hired and have now been working with for the last 2 years or so. It was for a marketing position, Brendan, and I asked this individual a very specific marketing question, and the fact that he answered it incorrectly was actually totally fine for me, because elsewhere in the interview, he kind of proved his interest and other areas that I think he could develop.
Right.
But just because the answer is no doesn't mean you have to BS and try to pretend.
Yes.
You can be honest about it and say, I think it means this, but I'm not sure. And that to me just built up trust, to be honest.
Yes, agreed. So. Yes, be honest, be genuine, because that's a very important thing that every employee is looking for. Can I trust this person? We're going to be spending a lot of time together if we're working together. Trust is very important. And the second any employer picks up on I don't think you were being honest, then you're not going to go any further.
Yes. Now, I'm wondering if we can go on a slight tangent, just because we touched on a couple pieces of candidate advice, so less from the employer side. But I'm not sure if you do how much recruitment you do for foreigners. But if we imagine that there's an experienced foreigner that's maybe been in leadership positions abroad and they're now coming to Thailand, are there any mistakes you see a lot of these foreigners make when they're looking to get hired into a position, or things that they should avoid or be aware of so they can be more successful in Thailand? Any thoughts?
The main piece, and I do receive contact with a lot of people from outside Thailand. Either they've worked here before, based here, but things have changed, or they're just looking to come in. My main piece of advice to everyone is the need to be patient, because the employment market that's open to foreign nationals is a lot smaller than the available foreign nationals looking for employment. So it's never a case of, no, you won't find anything. It's a case of being very patient and be prepared to be persistent. If I haven't replied to anyone, I'll apologise in advance, but I really do try to get back to everyone and just say, send through your profile because I'm also honest with them. If we're able to help somebody get a job with one of our clients, that's how we make money.
Yes.
So the idea that I could help them find a job is top of my priority. My ability to do it is the part that's limited. So I always intend to always write back, please send your profile through. I'll share it with my team if anyone can help. If we do talk to a client that is open to foreign to expats, great, I'll go back through my list and try to find matches, etc. So be patient is the first one. And the second one is when they do send my profile, do this to more than just me. Not everyone will write back. I will, and I know a few of the other people in the industry who always write back as well. But even if you don't receive a reply, just keep sending them and don't be put off by it. The only way you can get out there to find something is to tell your story, to put yourself out there. And that's probably the next thing is, we'll talk about networking later, but get out into the market, go to Chamber of Commerce events, go to any other type of event. If your favourite sport is, if you're coming over from the UK and you're a football player, go and join one of the football leagues, because a lot of the business people you want to eventually work with are playing in those leagues as well. Yeah. So just put yourself out there, build a network, send it out to recruiters like myself, and just get your story out there and see what eventually lands on the hook.
Got it. So what I'm gathering from that is that if someone meets you at an event, they might like you, you might like them, you might want to help them, but they shouldn't be saying, Brendan's got this for me, he's going to come back to me with some opportunities, because to your point, I mean, there's probably not all those opportunities that they may be thinking, right? As well connected as you are, there's not always this huge number of clients that are looking for expat hires and have those openings. Right. So if they're just kind of, crossing their fingers and just waiting on you, that's not the way to do it. They got to be proactive themselves.
That's right.
Yeah, that's great advice, Brendan. So now getting a little bit back into the perspective of the companies that are operating here. Another challenge that I think a lot of owners face here is retaining talent.
Right.
Because you might have a great employee for a year or so, and you're trying to kind of get past that first stage, and you're trying to get some momentum, and then poof, now a key hire has left you. Right. And maybe they didn't even give you a lot of notice. Right. And so I think people get, they almost want to throw their hands up at those stages, because it's like, oh my gosh, I invested in this person, I gave them all these things, they didn't give me 1 or 2 months notice, and that can be very frustrating.
Absolutely.
So I'm just kind of curious, do you have any ideas on how to retain good talent, or how to avoid those situations at least as much as possible?
If we look through, I think we'll look at it from an SME point of view, right? Because big companies would have talent management programs that run deep into the company. So if you're an SME and you've made those first few hires and you wouldn't have an in-depth talent management plan, the key is just to communicate that you're coming to an SME, here is our career path, or here is your career path. And if the answer is there isn't really a career path at the moment, then communicate that. Or if here's what we're planning it to be, communicate whatever you have from the beginning. Check the pulse of the employee. Is that okay with you? And if that's okay, great, then we'll move forward. And then continually check the pulse of that. And so not always asking the same questions. Do you remember that career path I told you about? You're still okay. But you're always checking in, how's the job going? What's working for you? What do you need from me? How can I help you? So just continually check the pulse in multiple different ways. And then there's the things that you ask a question and they don't say to you. So body language speaks as much as the words we say, right? So you ask a question, how's everything going? Good. Okay, that doesn't sound good. So rather than say that, just, okay, how's your work? Yeah, it's easy. Okay. Do you want something more difficult? Do you want a challenge? And really try to find ways, but how do I keep things interesting for you? If that's, you might have an employee, I like having things systematically laid out in front of me. And as long as you keep it that way and you don't change things for me, I'll be with you for life. Great. Then that's what I'll do for you. And then the next employee sitting next to that person is, I thrive on learning. So I've been working here for a year. I already know how to do my job. If you don't give me something else to learn, I'm probably going to go look for somewhere else that does. Okay, how do I make your job more interesting? I guess it's essentially looking at your employees similar to how you look at your clients. When you go talk to a client, you'll check, is everything okay? Is our service, the service we're offering good? Are you happy with what we're doing? Can we do anything different for you? That's because you want to keep your clients. Retained clients are much more valuable than trying to find the new clients, right? So it's the same concept, just constantly checking in with your top talent. I don't want to lose you. Tell me what I need to do to keep you, is basically, not those words, but always be checking in on that. So that's one part of the puzzle, I think.
You know, I love when you mentioned it's very similar to how you might handle a client, because one thought that I have when I've done satisfaction surveys and stuff like that for some of my clients, we look and say, who are the happy clients? And you may have NPS surveys or these other things. But the way I look at it is, just because only 3 of your clients rated you low doesn't mean that only 3 clients think that way.
Yes.
Only so many people will raise their hand in the positive, and only so many people will raise their hand in the negative.
Yes.
So then you have to extrapolate a little bit and say some people aren't talking and sharing. And so that just reminded me of that when you're mentioning that you can't take some of these responses at face value. Because, tell me if I'm wrong on this, Brendan, but you know, when it comes to comparing typically Western culture, individuals in Australia, America, the UK, I have assumed that on average, more people raise their hands in dissatisfaction than they necessarily do in Southeast Asia or in Thailand.
Yes, correct.
And so you mentioned reading the individual and not taking it at face value, digging a little bit deeper for the people that aren't saying, I'm satisfied or I'm dissatisfied.
Right.
Right?
That's right. And I suppose it's depending on the size of your team. Once again, we're looking at small businesses. So as your team grows, but you have a small team, really just take that time to treat everyone as an individual and get to know every individual. Knowing those first few hires especially are your new best friends that are likely going to be with you for a very long time, and really get to know each individual need. Now, ideally your business scales, and then those people might even become the managers if that's their intention, that's what they want to be. Not everyone wants to be a manager. And then they've learnt from you how to do that, and they start doing that, and that's how you scale people-wise.
I love when you said not everyone wants to be a manager. No. That's something I guess seen so often, is that people get promoted into positions they never wanted because they were high performers. And you go back to the individual again, and it's, if you know the individual, you know, and you're asking them if they want that, as opposed to saying, you've done such a great job, I'm promoting you into this people management position that they never wanted.
No, and maybe don't have the skills, that they're highly competent at their job, what they're doing. That doesn't mean, if they've never managed people before, that's a whole new, very different skill again, whatever this job was. So do they have that skill? Do they want that skill? And if they are interested, the first thing, it's a different topic again, but that's when you need to go into training mode. Okay, before we make you a manager, let's train you how to be a manager, not just throw you in the deep end and say, right, you used to work with this group, now you're the boss of this group, good luck. That's recipe for disaster.
Yes, and that reminds me of something else you said earlier too, was when I asked you this question, you said, this sounds like a question for SMEs. And because as you said, these training programs and all these other things, this pipeline, exist in these larger companies already. But SMEs don't necessarily have that.
No.
But one thing I want to know, because you've worked with so many companies here, is that do you think it's possible for SMEs to learn from larger companies in some of these ways, such as having training programs? Because I think it's easy to say, I'm a small business, I can't have some org chart now. I don't know what I need now, or I don't have time to create a training program or career path, or, and things like this. And I'd argue that those are a little bit of excuses, because can't you do like a larger, like a light version of what larger companies do?
Yes, of course you can. And simple things like an org chart, yes, you need to have that. Even if there's 5 people in your company, well, we all know where we sit. Well, do you? Put it there, and then it's very clear where everyone sits. And then training, if you're identifying skills gaps, whether it's technical or in this case people, if you want to promote someone to be a manager, well, we don't need to promote them to be train them to be a manager. We'll just tell them what to do. Have some, even if it's just you as the boss, doing regular coaching with your potential manager, then that constitutes a training course. Let's sit down once a week for whatever time period, and let's talk through the skills that are required and the expectations of us as a company for you to be a successful manager.
Yes.
So you still need to do it. It doesn't mean you need to go out and hire spend a lot of money on a company. If you are able to, that's probably a better option. But if you're not able to, then just invest your own time in providing that training.
Yes, I love that. Because, there are all these tools that'll say, oh, we do semi-annual reviews and we use this platform, like small improvements and some of these other tools. But some companies can't afford that. But I love what you just pointed out, like a recurring weekly meeting or, quarterly review, whatever it is something you can manage on a spreadsheet and on your calendar.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But you can't avoid it.
No, you need to do it. You need to be checking the pulse. You're always checking the pulse and making sure everything's okay.
Yes, I love that. And the other thing that stuck with me was that I think you mentioned people not knowing necessarily their roles or not being clear on what their roles are. I think when you're a growing company, roles change a lot.
Yes.
And if you're not revisiting the roles, then I think that can cause a lot of tension, Brendan, right? Because I think when no one quite knows who's responsible for something, because maybe it's a new thing that came up that didn't exist before, then everyone thinks they're doing a favor for someone else.
Yeah.
And they might feel inside, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to help this other person? It's because no one's been defined as being the owner of that responsibility.
Right.
And so if you're not revisiting it, you probably are going to have a little bit of tension in your organization.
Yes. And a good one, responsibility. One of our core values is accountability, which I'm a big fan of. Yeah. And a good way to share that among the organisation is rather than, because small business things are always changing. And if we go back to the big change in the world a few years ago, and that meant that things are just changing anyway. 2 words came out of the COVID epidemic. You needed to be agile and you need to pivot. I think I heard those terms 1,000 times during those couple of years. Oh, we were agile and we pivoted. But we don't stop doing that, right? So you're looking at the market, and if things are well, then you keep on track. And if things aren't looking well, or you can see down the track that you're going to hit an obstacle, you need to be agile and pivot. That hasn't changed. So you do need to be revisiting things all the time. And back to the accountability, what I think is a good way to do it, particularly with a small business, often the small business will look up and think, well, you're the boss, you know everything. and you just tell us what to do. So if you can very early in the piece establish, well, I'm the boss because I take ultimate responsibility, but I don't know everything. And I've hired you, and I would really appreciate you guys helping me with that because I don't know everything. So when we do need to revisit things, rather than say, okay, we're changing and I'm going to make you do this and I'm changing everything. And so, what do you guys think? So you're actually doing the job.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're doing. Tell me how you can do it better. Tell me what you need. Tell me, do we need to change it? And just constantly ask. And then if your people are giving you the ideas, good, let's do that. Now you're accountable for that because you told me that that's what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Ooh. Accountability, yep, absolutely comes with it.
Yeah, and so I've still got your back.
Yeah.
So I've agreed to it. I'm accountable as well. Yeah. So we're both accountable. You're accountable for making it happen, but I'm as a boss, I'm essentially the main accountability. But I don't know everything, so I need you to help me with what we should be doing.
I love that. That does tie into the next topic around office culture, right? And I just want to double down on what you just said about that openness and those dialogues you have with team members about sharing ideas or about pushing back on things or whatever, right? Because one thing I often see too that foreigners do when they're here is that they might have a forceful thought on something.
Right.
And they'll say, we should do this and this is why, and what do you guys think? This is a good idea, right?
Right.
Right? And then in Thailand especially, you're gonna get, oh yeah. And then that individual might be thinking, well, I already asked the team and they supported it.
Right.
Not realizing that it's really hard in this, it's not common in this culture, let's say, to take something that's moving a momentum in some way, or the boss, as you just said, saying something. It's hard to push back if you didn't develop that culture in the company of that openness and willingness to listen and to your team, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to do here. So, but I want to tie that to like what you have found and how you've developed a good culture, because I mean, teeing this up a little bit too, Brendan, is that I visited a lot of office in Bangkok, and when I visit, you can pretty immediately tell an office culture and tell whether or not it's the big, Kun Brendan said this and everyone else is just following, or it's individuals that are making decisions that are all involved. And when I come into this office, I have come a couple of times, and your team is very open. They're helping. They're not looking to you to do everything, and they're not shying away from approaching me and bringing me in and stuff like this. So you've obviously developed this culture where people are sharing, people are contributing, they are showing up with ideas. So do you have any tips for how you've done that? Any values that you stick with your office culture, or any recommendations you'd have?
Yeah, I think something I eventually learned, I think many people slide into a habit of saying things like, Thai people are like this. And you hear it all the time from foreigners working here. Thai
From me as
people
well, I'll be honest.
We've all done it.
Yeah.
If anyone says they've never done it, I would question their honesty. Thai people are like this. And you essentially put Thai people in a box that they are all like this. And what you're forgetting is that Thai, Australian, American, wherever you're from, we're all individuals, is what we are. So there are a lot of cultural facts here that influence the way people are. The background of the monarchy, the quite heavy presence of religion, the way just the economics of the country over so many years, the development of the middle class over the last 20 or 30 years, which has now come but wasn't there before, etc. So many things influence what the culture is. But at the end of the day, the people are individuals like in any other country, and that's putting people in a box of Thai people are like this, I think is a mistake people make. I'll quickly tell you a story about this actually. When my cousin, part of my transition in thinking, my change was my cousin came here quite a few years ago, but he was walking around down Siam in the middle of the city, and his first time in Thailand, he's looking around, he said to me, so tell me about the people, what do they do? What do you mean? Well, so just what do they do? What happens on a regular basis in this country? I thought, well, they Monday morning get up, go to work, go home. They work in an office, a lot of them, not everyone, there's different parts of the country, and then they go home after work. They do that usually Monday to Friday. They might go to the gym or to play badminton, go out with their friends after work during the week. And then on weekends, it's a lot of family time. It's going to the cinema, it's going bowling, and you look at it, oh, the same as what we do in Australia. Yeah, pretty much. So we work at an office, or wherever you work, people across the world, I guess, who work are very much the same. They're very cultures are very different, but our coming to work, making money, etc., is very much the same. So I think when we walk into an office and say, well, Thai people are like this, you're forgetting that Thai people are the same as Australian, American, everyone else in terms of the way. There are a lot of cultural differences, but the need to show up for work, to perform well at work, to do well, to enjoy their job, to have fun with their colleagues, I think that's global. And so if you go in with that mindset, that that's my work environment, not that things with Thai people are shy, they don't like to speak up, they don't, then box that, put it away, and just go in with the mentality that this is a global environment and it's the way you behave that influences the way they behave.
That's such a great point. I can also tell you, to your point, whether it be owners here in Thailand or owners I work with outside of Thailand, it is amazing how much the owner reflects on the company. And I think some owners can take more of a victim mentality of my team doesn't do this, doesn't do that. But if they have that victim mentality, I think that permeates through the company. If they have the ownership mentality, that permeates through the company.
Yes.
So to me, it always does start a little bit at the top.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And we have to take accountability for our own challenges or our team's challenges, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and that definitely ties into culture. Now, one thing, I'm not pushing back on what you said. Absolutely, I 100% agree about the individual. But one thing that I think might cause some of us to say things like Thai people is because when I talk to my wife, my neighbors, all these other individuals in my life, in Thailand, the way the language is formed, it's not individualistic, right? If I ask my wife about something, she'll say, "Oh, well, Thai people do this."
Right.
She says Thai.
She says it, yeah.
Right, because it's back to the
Thai people say it a lot, actually.
Right. As Thai people, let me explain this. We do this, but I think I really like what you're saying because, as much as everyone is often phrasing their responses or opinions on that, they will all say slightly different things.
Yes.
So for instance, this Thai person will say, as Thai people, we don't like XYZ politician. Yes. But then guess what? This other Thai person will say, as Thai people, we do like that politician, right? And so it's still an individual.
Yes. Yes. And you're right. So we're both married to Thai nationals. They're different people.
Yeah, exactly.
They, we did have the conversation all the time where Thai people are like this, Thai people are like that. I use it, a good example of it's an excuse or a cop-out.
Yeah.
I can explain to my wife why I go and watch a football game and drink maybe too many more beers than I should have done. And come home, it's just the way Australians are. Not every Australian's doing what I'm doing. I just use that as that stereotype of Australians watch football, eat pies, drink beers. I'm an Australian. That's why I'm doing that. But no, I'm an Australian, but I like doing it. And I use I'm an Australian as an excuse for why I do it.
You know, I say the same thing when I get impatient in traffic or in a long line. I say, us Americans get really impatient when things are inefficient, right?
Yeah.
But I'll admit, after being here for so many years, when my parents visit or other individuals visit, I start to realize, oh my gosh, I've actually really adapted to, I'm a bit more patient these days, right?
Yes.
And so in any case, we still have our Australian roots or American roots or whatever, but after a while, you kind of find a balance.
I think it's an old saying that it's a lot easier to make excuses than to change. So that's what we do. And Thai people are like this, whether foreigners or Thai say it. It's just a lot easier to say than the alternative of trying to find a way to improve the situation or make changes in yourself, etc.
Yes. Well, speaking of generalizations in terms of culture, there's also generalizations in terms of the different generations of individuals. And so if you bear with me, I am curious if there are any general patterns that you see. As companies are continuing to grow and expand, they're getting a new demographic of individuals in their companies, right? The younger individuals that are internet native, for instance, are coming into the workforce. And in the field that you're in, I'm sure that you're seeing a bit of that.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm curious what you've seen change in terms of the types of candidates you speak with, the younger generation, maybe specifically in Thailand. What have you kind of seen? What's shifting?
Gen Z, it goes without saying, very different to Gen Y and extremely different to Gen X.
Yeah.
And similar, I find it similar to the cultural conversation. They've grown up in a world that they're looking at the world through different eyes. If you grow up in anywhere in Thailand, but let's say the country areas of Thailand compared to Australia, you're looking at the world through very different eyes. Gen Z are looking at the world through eyes that have never known anything but the internet, mobile phones, and just technology in general. So they're growing up in a world that they only know that, whereas older generations have grown up in a different world that have seen different things prior to the internet. I think obviously the internet was such a significant change in our life, and now AI is further making that change, that we can identify that as the changing point for the generations. And so with that in mind, they are a different type of person, a different type of employee, different expectations, but also bringing different things to the workplace. They have different ideas, they have a different way of looking at things. So I find it to be quite exciting. Similar to when we talk about culture and you put things in boxes and say, culture, people from this country are like this. I've seen a lot of rhetoric where people say, Gen Z are like this. And here's how you manage Gen Z, and you need to, similar to culture, don't put them in a box. They're all different types of people. You need to ask them what they want. You need to ask them for the direction, what they're looking for, and also understand them. We often look back and say, in my day, it used to be like this, and we used to do this, and if the generation that's come through, their parents have made a very strong effort to make sure they always had a mobile phone, to make sure that they had computer access, to make sure that they've had this wonderful, comfortable life. And then we look back and say, oh, in my day, it was much harder. So we're basically punishing them for the fact that we gave the wonderful bit of life. So I think we just need to understand that times are different and they're looking through different lenses, and how do we utilise that different way to look on the world compared to what we had. Just to segue away from that a little bit as well, the importance of tapping in, and I like to think I do it quite a lot. I have a lot more senior people than me, say that have even reached retirement age, that I've been very fortunate to meet, mainly through the Chamber of Commerce, and just catch-ups with them, to tap into their wealth of knowledge and different things that are happening and perspectives on things. So each of us at different generations are looking at the world through a different lens, and make the most of that as opposed to challenging it.
I love that. And I'm just thinking, again, it is so easy to say, oh, Gen Z is this way. And, I'm a millennial, and of course, plenty of people will say, oh, when millennials enter the workforce, they expect this and that, and whatever, right? And yeah, everyone's an individual, everyone's different, so point taken on that. But then also, I think there's they're not good, they don't show up on time, they don't understand what they have, they're too spoiled, right? These are all things that, even if some of them are somewhat true or have variations of truth to them, it's that, what is that helping? Yeah. And instead, kind of saying, okay, well, how can you leverage their differences? And what I'm hearing from you is to actually listen to the generations, whether it be the older generations or the younger generations, rather than just rebuffing them.
Yes.
And that even ties into, you had mentioned networking, which we're going to talk about a bit as well. But, you mentioned AusCham, right? The Australian Chamber. And I know one of the kind of groups or subcommittees to that is NextGen.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You want to explain what that is, so people that don't know?
Yeah, so that's the development of the next generation, as the name it says. So AusCham's very famous for Sundowners as a networking event. And Sundowners can be a little daunting if you're walking in there for the first time. In fact, I remember walking in there a long time ago, but walking in for the first time, it's daunting. There's over 300 people in the room. If you don't know anybody, it's, wow, who do I talk to? Where do I go? What do I do? How do I break in to a conversation? It can be very daunting to walk into. Now, if you're somebody who's less experienced, not only in networking, but in the workplace in general, that sort of daunting factor goes even further up. So creating a subcommunity where it's open to everyone to attend. It's not limited to an age bracket. It's not a young professional group where people under this age, but it's specifying that this is for a group of people who are on their way to the next step of management, of building, starting their own business, of whatever their intentions are for the next step. So it can be viewed as a different community to walking into sometimes a bigger community where suits and grey hair and things like that. And then the suits and grey hair still come to the next event as well, because everyone loves to. I'm going to say never, but if that's not true, rarely met a senior business community leader, not only Auscham, but across the whole community, who isn't willing to help the next generation come along. If they're asked for help, can I have time? Can I sit down with you and can I ask you some questions? Very few of them will say no. So yeah, what do you want to know? Happy to help you.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I mean, when you were mentioning the Sundowners, I definitely recommend individuals take a look at the Australian Chamber events, look at membership, and consider attending a Sundowners as one option. To your point, it can be daunting. I will say that people tend to love it because of the people in the community. People are very friendly, despite there being a lot of people. But there's also good food and good drinks at these events. And what I will say is, as you mentioned, Next Gen and some of the other events might be a bit smaller. Luckily, Australian Chamber still has good food and good drinks at those events too, just fewer people, so you can take that kind of step in.
That's a signature of Australian Chamber of Commerce events. It's great food, great drinks, and great people. People are very, even if it looks daunting, but while we're on the topic, if you're going into any event for the first time, you happen to be by yourself, just try to find even someone online, me for example, and say, are you going to this event? I want to know at least one person. And then I'll take you in, I'll introduce you, and as soon as you meet a couple of people, you're away.
Yes, I love that. What a great recommendation. And I will say too, we've talked about this a bit, but it's not a stuffy group. It's not a stuffy group setting. Yes, I mean, in the Sundowners events, you're going to have more suit and ties and some more older experienced individuals. But I've never felt that attitude of who are you to be talking to me?
No.
Everyone's very like this. If you make the eye contact and you approach a group,
shake of the hands. How are you? What's your name? Yeah, there's always a conversation to be had.
Yes. And that brings us to the topic a little bit deeper on networking, right? We talked about, also, of course, there's Australian Chamber, but Brendan, I see you, like, not only have you held incredible and prominent positions with Australian Chamber, but you seem to go to a ton of events. And, you know, you're a high-level individual. You, I'm sure, are very busy with your workday, but you still attend, speak at, go to all these events in Bangkok, right? And I think it's easy to have the excuse of, I'm an owner, I'm busy, I can't do that. They send their staff and they don't go themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how you are able to make the time, but then also why you make the time to be involved in these communities.
I consider what is now my network as one of, if not the most valuable asset that I have. It's extremely valuable to me for multiple reasons. I'll start with the ROI. So first, I mentioned started going to networking. I'm going to say it was 15 years ago, going into the first AusGem event. And I just started in recruitment. And when I first started going, I was going regularly to AusGem events and then coming back into the office. And the company I was working for at the time, the boss said to me, I'm not sure, are you just going to these events to sort of have a few drinks and a good time? I said, I am having a few drinks and a good time, but no, I'm not just going for that reason. And he sort of unsure of me, fair enough, I'll prove to you why I'm going. So I just set up a very simple spreadsheet with a list of the contacts, not every contact, but contacts that I was making, and then eventual invoices. So recruitment's a kind of business that you can get a financial ROI eventually. Don't walk into one networking event and come back thinking, okay, money's rolling in. It takes time to build. But over the course of a year, I then presented, when it was time to renew the membership, I then presented this ROI sheet. Okay, here's how much it costs for us to be a member, plus for me to attend these events. Here's the direct result of the invoices that we were able to make because of the contacts I made. And it's, as a rule, minimum 10 times the investment for a business like the business that I'm in. It doesn't apply to everyone. Not everyone is making financial gains from being an OzCham or any chamber member or going to networking events, but in my case that did apply. So then the next one, which I find very highly valuable, is the knowledge that you gain. I can't remember going to any event where I don't go home, and I usually will say to my wife, I'll get home and she'll ask me about the event, and I'll say, I learned this, and did you know this? Or somebody told me this. And people tell you things that you wouldn't have known if you didn't go to that event. Whether it's a market lead, do you know that this company's coming into Thailand? No, I did not know that. Do you know that this person's moving from here to here? Do you know that this has happened? People are happy to tell you things. People are happy to share information, particularly if it's something they think not many people know. This is my thing tonight. I'm going to tell everyone this.
Everyone gossips a bit, right? So
the market knowledge you can gain, and then the different people are there. If you want to know what's happening in real estate, say things like it's a bit touchy, the casino project or the F1 proposal that's happening. There's often people in the room who will have some insider knowledge if you're interested. But about multiple topics. So the things you learn, if you're open to talk with everyone and not walk, here's my business cards, here's what I do, here's what I can sell to you. I never do that. I walk up, hi, if you hear the accent, so if it's an American accent, where are you from? Oh, States, great, what part of the States are you from? And you get into that conversation. What brings you here? You start talking about sport if people are into sport, talk about gold if they know. So you just find conversations, you build a relationship, and you basically make friends. And if that person who becomes your new friend one day happens to, hey, I actually need your service, that's great, I'm here for you. But otherwise, it's just really building a network where you can learn a lot from it. And then even referrals. That person who's now your new friend is talking to somebody else in the room. Do you know anyone who does this service? I do, actually. I'll introduce you to this person right now. So then the final thing is, just that friend network that you get from it. I love that I walk into not only OzCham events, but other chamber events, other different grand opening things, or sometimes on the SkyTrain. I bumped into someone I know quite well on the SkyTrain this morning. I got off the train and, hey mate, how are you? We stopped and had a real good chat. So I like having that network, that access to really good people.
I love it. I think you touched on so many of the points that I've really always, some of the points I try to make to individuals that come here, because when they say that they're looking for that immediate ROI, they say, I attended that event, I got a couple cards, it didn't turn into any business, I can't really see the benefit. And you compare those individuals that do that, or like I said, send their team off, who then say, oh, I work for a self-storage company, this is what I do, right? That's not the way to lead a conversation, right? And it seems like it's a couple layers removed. Whether it's a later conversation where you eventually maybe do talk a little bit about work down the line, whether you join a subcommittee and you start talking to people there and getting to know them more and their services more because you're interested, or it's someone that they know and they trust you, and then they introduce you to someone that could be good, right? So it just seems like, to your point, I know that you were able to make the case for why it's worth it to go to events from an ROI perspective, but it's a matter of, it's not that direct.
No, and not everyone can do it either. So if you are only looking for the ROI, it may not ever be there. I have been fortunate enough that it has existed for me, but if that's all you're looking for, you're missing out on those other really important aspects. The knowledge part, the things that I learned through those conversations, I just find that invaluable. And like I said, the friendship part as well. And you never know when you need. People might be in one company and you're not, it sounds like you might be using them, but you know them through that company and there's no way you're ever doing business. And if you take the attitude, well, I've met that person, but they're never going to do business with me, so where's the value? Then you lose even. We're friends for 5 years, great mates, sometimes play golf together. That person, hey, I've got a new job. I need your business help today.
Yes.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes.
You just never know.
Yeah, absolutely. And just when you were talking about your staff and individuals that you recruit and things like this, it's that understanding them as a person, right? Are they married? Do they have kids? Are their kids trying to find a school to go to, right? Like it's that give first and learn from them, right?
Yes.
I think that's just so important. So if anyone wants to chat with me at an event, just know that, gold is an important one.
Yes.
I'm a Bitcoin guy for sure. So please understand that if you want to know anything about that and you want to get me going, talk to me about Bitcoin. But the point is, it's the stuff that people are passionate about.
Right.
If you're talking with them about things that they're interested in and passionate about, that's not always work.
No.
And then maybe it loops back around to work,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. You'd remember when we caught up not long ago having a coffee, I was very interested in the gold topic.
Yes.
For me, it's more gold interest than the Bitcoin side. So I was asking you about the gold and about the prices and the market. So and it's something that I hear not only for personal interest, but you hear others talking about where they should be investing or not. So if I don't know much about a topic, you can obviously jump online and learn a lot, but I really prefer to just ask somebody who I think knows and get their opinion. Then you're able to combine it. I've read this, but then I've asked these people about it. And once again, events are just the best place to meet those people.
Great point. Well, we've run through a lot. What I'm wondering if you can do for me, Brendan, is this has been a long conversation, but if you had just 1 or 2 minutes or a few sentences to explain, and I get this is a hard thing to do, but how to be successful or some kind of general rules of how to find success in Thailand from the business perspective or from the team building perspective. If you could just run through what is your general playbook or blueprint summary of the things that an individual can do to be more successful here.
I think I'll focus just on the hiring part, because the broader picture can be very difficult to nail down. So in terms of hiring your team, to go through the processes as we've discussed. Referrals are another big part. If you come in and you ask people, do you know anyone who does this? That's also a good way to find people. But hire right. The concept of right people, right seats. Just really, as you're going through that process, sometimes we have a tendency to hire someone because we need them now. And you try to convince yourself in your mind that, okay, maybe not the right person, but it's the person I need now. And maybe is your business need at the time. I can't afford to wait for the right person. I'll take the person who's maybe 75% right. But if you're in a position to really wait and find that right person, then particularly those early hires, then do that. So right people, right seats. And then once you start getting those people in, because you're very new, be very genuine with them. You expect them to be genuine with you, so be genuine with them. With that knowledge, like, I really need your help, guys. I know you're coming in thinking I'm an oracle that's built this business. I'm going to be very real with you. I'm hiring you because I need your help. So let's do this together. And then the communication part. Here's what's in front of us. Here's what we're building. Here's what obstacles we've just hit. Before you hear it from someone else, I'm going to tell you. So really communicate and be honest along the way. And then the care factor you were saying yourself about really just asking questions and getting to know and making sure that it is. People say we're building a family, we're like a family. Whether you want to look at your office like a family or not is probably an individual thing as well, but you spend so much time together, make sure that it does have that strong care factor to it as well. And probably the last thing, which I don't think I've mentioned along the way, but, and I'm going to say Thai people are like this, but it's quite true, fun. The saduk part of Thailand, I think, is one of the things that keeps us here as well. It is a good, fun place to be, and the people overall, while I am generalizing and stereotyping, it is people have good hearts and it's a good fun place to be. So while there are going to be stresses from work and business, just step back and remember to enjoy life a bit, because we're not here for long.
What a great note to end that topic on. I mean, just because I was just thinking as you were saying this, I again have a couple of young children, and my wife has so much fun with our kids. And I'm a little bit more of the serious dad. I'm not like a disciplinarian or anything, but my point is that she's just tickling them and doing all these things with them. They're 6 and 8 years old, right? And they're just having fun like a group of kids. Because sometimes all the call these are my 3 kids, right? Yeah. Or 4 kids, right? And so I think that playful element, I need to remind myself of that. So I appreciate that lesson, is learn to have a bit of fun while you're here, right? Business matters, but if you have a good workplace where people can trust each other and you can have fun with one another, you're probably going to be able to work even better together.
Yeah.
Right? So
absolutely.
Great point. Now, what's to kind of close this out a little bit, Brendan, what's one thing about Thailand, and this can be personal, this can be professional, anything, but what's one thing that you wish you had known sooner?
I think I'll go back to I just actually did it myself, the stereotyping, but the saying Thai people are like this, or even kind of considering yourself knowing a lot about Thailand. So Thailand's like this, Thai people do this, and stepping away from that mold and just, I'm an individual, they're individuals, this is a company, and it's not Thailand, Australia, or we're all just individuals. Let's treat each other like individuals, and taking away that part of the thought process. It's still there. You need to be mindful of it. In things like that, I said, that happen with monarchy, religion, etc. You need to be extremely mindful of how you communicate, how you deal with those type of topics. But in terms of the workplace, just treat everyone like an individual, I think is the best. The thing I wish I'd really been in touch with years before I did get in touch with it.
Great tip. Now, you've been incredibly generous with your time. I'm wondering though, Brendan, is there anything that we didn't touch on or talk about today that you wish we had?
I think we could talk for forever, really. There is so much in terms of hiring people, in terms of developing people. I could talk about people, recruitment, training and development, talent development. I could talk about it forever. So I think we have had another podcast down the track that goes part 2.
Totally fair. Let's tease that. So we'll have a part 2 down the road as well, Brendan. Now, with that said, let's say that someone does want to pick your brain a bit, learn from you. Yeah. What is the best way they can get in touch with you? Or get in touch with the company if they are in need of services and they're looking to, again, expand their team in Thailand?
Great. Well, let's start with the company. Website is consulting.aswhiteglobal.com. It's quite a long website, so hoping you can put it on the screen at the bottom. Email is that same web domain. It's just my name, Brendan at consulting.aswhiteglobal.com. LinkedIn's a great way to contact me. The nature of what I do, I'm on LinkedIn every day. So send me a message request, put a little hello in there if you like as well, and I will connect with you and we can start chatting on LinkedIn first. Or we've talked about the networking. Most AusCham events, if I'm in Thailand, you can find me here. If I'm in Vietnam, you can find me at the AusCham events here as well. So we go along to a networking event, is Brendan here, and hopefully someone does know me and they'll introduce you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for your time, Brendan. Really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And like you said, we'll probably do it again soon.
Great. Then thank you for coming into the office. Thanks for inviting me to be on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for the chat.
Cheers.
Cheers.